Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I'm so happy to see the friendly faces of many campus and community members here to join us today. I would like to send a special thank you to some city councilors, my colleagues in Western administration, some past USC alumni, and also my counterpart at Fanshawe College. Thank you for coming. Your presence here means a lot, because that's exactly what an event like this is designed to highlight. The opportunities for everyone who interacts with this university to come together for a common goal. What are these common goals? That's what I hope to make clear today. Before I begin, I do want to recognize my team of USC executives who, while hear me speak about these issues most days, have been very happy to join me today to hear me speak about them again. I do also want to point out that we did hit gender parity in our executive team before Justin Trudeau did. Now, this is usually the part of a speech when a speaker would ask attendees to put away their phones and turn off any electronic devices to remain engaged in the presentation. I'm not going to ask that. I'm actually going to ask the opposite. Instead, I ask you all to keep your phones out, because rather than a distraction, I understand the ways that you might use that phone to share an idea you have, to communicate with others who are not here, and to be present both in this moment and moments outside of the Mustang Lounge. No student in this room has been spared from generational critiques. Columnists, politicians, and maybe even sharply tongued relatives have dismissed what they recognize as limiting an over-dependent relationship with technology. But what is limiting about transcending national borders for news, culture, and information? And what is dependent about refusing to allow our ideas to stay contained in single spaces and among certain groups? Imagine the first time a Western student used a computer on campus to research archived material. Now imagine when Western students started carrying those computers to class with them in their backpacks. Technology has created a modern student who is flexible, adaptable, and hungry for new experiences. In fact, I believe looking forward has always been a particular skill of students, driving change in institutions like Western. Since 1878, when Western was founded, we've evolved in pace with the tools at our disposal. We started allowing women to enroll here. We introduced academic and personal counseling and support services. We started offering online courses, and we even started sending students around the globe for exchange opportunities. We now offer more residence beds, more scholarship dollars, and more leadership development to our students. Behind each of these advancements were students coming together for a single purpose with a single voice. The University Students' Council has never faltered as a steadfast supporter of student interests, and it continues in attempts to speak as loudly and as boldly as needed. So what is the next evolution? What is the direction that we, as the student voice, need to step towards? The technology we have at our fingers is making it harder and harder to maintain the progression that students want from school into their careers. Students are reading blogs, starting companies, connecting with organizations, and expanding their personal reach. Many of us are actively connecting to networks outside of the classroom, and perhaps that's exactly where we need to go. It's called experiential learning. Broadly, it's an educational process that derives value from lived experiences framed with reflection. In other words, students learn through a combination of studying course material and then applying that material in real-world cases. This year, the USC is committed to advocating for students to access more than in-classroom learning. The university has done much to offer us a quality education here at Western, but this is a call for the university to acknowledge different learning styles, different student objectives, and different metrics of success. Every Western student should, at some point during their time here, participate in an experiential learning opportunity that is tied to credited work for their school. We need course material to become tangible in ways that it has never been before, where every student has the opportunity to link their classwork to credited, relevant, experiential learning opportunities. To accomplish this, we're advocating to better establish training for our faculty members, to incorporate these values into their teaching objectives. We are setting up a USC Medal of Innovation in Teaching Award to do our part to incentivize professors towards these new teaching methods. Instructors, however, will still require support from the university to provide such programs as they make connections with local, national, or even international opportunities. And we want to continue to remind the Western administration how important an investment in this support is. But we also need to be diligent in ensuring that experiential learning, as it becomes more integrated into our daily classes, is committed by the university to a centralized model. We've been working with Western's Student Experience Department to ensure that regardless of your degree, you will receive the same access to opportunities than your peers in any other discipline. The USC is also drafting advocacy papers on experiential learning in non-STEM faculties, so that we're fully aware of faculty-based realities when it comes to what out of the classroom really means. However, this isn't just all on Western. We're preparing to work with the provincial and federal governments to ensure they prioritize undergraduate opportunities and can provide adequate funding to the point where experiential learning moves from just being a goal to being a standard and eventually being a norm. The provincial papers we are preparing to write hope to address policy on work-integrated learning, tuition, financial assistance, and the funding formula here in Ontario. In the meantime, we refuse to forget current students who currently are having trouble accessing experiential learning opportunities on campus. Currently, a lot of these opportunities can cost students more than they can afford to pay. The USC has already begun modeling scholarships and bursaries geared towards experiential or work-integrated learning for students. Earlier this year, we created the Experiential Learning Endowment Fund, granting students who need this financial assistance resources to take advantage of experiential learning opportunities. No student on this campus should be denied a unique chance to demonstrate leadership, passion, and knowledge simply because they cannot afford it. Of course, we can't have a conversation about experience outside of the classroom without looking off campus. The Western Strategic Plan has outlined the internationalization of our campus. We can't forget about increasing opportunities for students to travel globally as part of their undergraduate degree. But not every student can or will travel outside of Canada for these experiences. Global and national opportunities are great things to connect with students, but unless London itself becomes culturally rich and a world-class city, the number of locally based experiential learning opportunities will be stagnant. From City Hall to every single business owner in this city, Western students are and can continue to integrate into the community through working in industry-related ways, potentially setting the roots in a place that has given them a reason to. I can promise, though, that this will not happen without a reliable and efficient way to navigate London. We need a proper transit system that can work for a city of its size. The USC has been pushing for new ways to approach transit issues. And just this morning, the City of London announced the recommended mode of rapid transit that would be brought to City Council for approval. With the recommended hybrid of light rail transit and bus rapid transit systems, students could hop on a train on campus and be downtown in minutes. This is a huge step and an equally large investment for our city, but it is an essential piece of making London a city that meets the standards that we set. By being a part of these conversations and being heard, students can develop a vested interest in revitalizing the city's core and consulting on changing infrastructure. With the USC's long history of advocacy, we recognize that initiatives like this don't happen overnight. They take concerted efforts from universities, communities, and every level of government. That is why we're taking a multi-pronged approach that I've outlined. We're organizing with federal partners and our student colleagues across the country who face similar challenges at their own institutions. Our work with the Ontario Undergraduate Student Alliance continues to make several progress updates for emphasizing these needs to the provincial government. Finally, the City of London and the university have perhaps the most responsibility in making the connection between a student's academic experience here on campus and their ability to thrive in environments that enhance, not deter, students' learning. So what will a student taught through the lens of experiential learning look like? Well, I'd argue that it's one speaking to you here today. When I came to Western, I was confident in my academics, sure that I could take on the challenges thrown at me in the classroom. I quickly discovered, however, the real challenges, the ones that would define me both as a leader and as a person, came not from what I studied, but what I accomplished. Volunteer and work positions are what led me to stand in front of you today, having realized that my passions primarily lie outside of textbooks and outside of exams. I can imagine some of my faculty members cringing at the idea of stepping away from such normative methods of teaching, but resist the temptation to judge. Just as it has in the past, the USC is encouraging us as a campus culture to embrace new teaching methods so that over time, a president could stand in front of you and say similar things in a similar speech. Instead, talking about the intrinsic value that their credited experiential learning courses had on skill development, their career path, and even their personal growth. So let's look at what we collectively need to do to get to that point. While the USC's advocacy efforts continue, I ask students, start communicating with your professors on how you learn and what you want to accomplish here at university. Don't allow yourself to be intimidated by the unilateral direction of lectures. Engage in discussions to fill the gaps in our education that do currently exist. As far as Western staff, faculty, and London decision makers, be receptive to these conversations. Listen to how we felt about an internship, a co-op, an off-site lecture, or a workshop. Listen to what we learned from sitting on clubs, teams, leagues, or councils. Listen to everything that we are doing outside the four walls of a lecture hall, because there's an opportunity for curriculum to once again be at the forefront of post-secondary education. So adapt with us, change with us. I focused on experiential learning today, but the University Students' Council is working on a number of fronts to guarantee that advocacy stays at the core of who we are. Throughout the USC's history, we've often worked to fill gaps that we've seen in student life. This is manifested into programming, service delivery, and more recently, a heavy focus on the student development that I'm speaking about today. In similar speeches, my predecessors have talked about how advocacy should remain at the forefront of our discussion at the USC. Now let's put our money where our mouth is, or rather, where our mission is as an organization. Our mission focuses on the intersection of educational experience and quality of life for students. So we're growing our advocacy efforts to keep up with the demand of projects geared towards unique student needs. In this final moment, let's take a critical look at exactly what advocacy is. It's asking for things, backed by research, and driven by fight. We've committed to getting the research together, so I ask all of you here today to fight with us. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for coming today. As usual, we have some lovely spoke refreshments at the back of the room, and I know a few of us would like to stay around and continue the conversation about exactly how some of these projects can take life here at Western. I would also be available for any questions, comments, or concerns you had about the address, so thank you so much for coming.